on 95.3 FM in Windhoek, Desert Radio. The Bold Boy.
No, it's all good.
It's all good.
Yeah.
All right, now, Mitch, let's just start off with you perhaps just giving us an update on what's the latest in paracycling circles in the country.
Well, it's been for the past, I'd say, 5 years. It's been slowly starting to rise. We have not had a lot of participation from people with different disabilities in that area of parasports. However, since we have had some cycles donated from Inclusive Cycling about 5 years ago, it has generally started to rise, and they had some more participation in it, participating in competitions like the Cycle Classic and even the one with the Namibian also.
Yeah.
And since then, it has been growing, but we still would like to see much more of that.
Yeah. And generally, I mean, look, cycling is an expensive sport, but how expensive would you say paracycling is as well? I mean, you know, the parts of some bicycles are quite expensive, particularly I'm guessing the uniforms as well. Talk to us a bit about that aspect of paracycling.
Yeah, it is very expensive.
Can you imagine?
It is a very good sport to participate in, but you will have to go in well informed when going into it.
Yeah.
I think one would have to, if you are going to go into paracycling as a sport and want to compete professionally, you would have to really get your sponsors lined up for it, as it, like you are saying, it's quite expensive. A cycle would cost up between 80 and 150,000 Namibian dollars. We've had now cycles sponsored from Inclusive Cycling from the US, which are good cycles, but when you are going on to compete in a professional level, then you would need even a much more expensive cycle to compete on that level. Yeah. So I think the sponsors would need to be heavily involved in that. Yeah.
And just speaking about that, I mean, look, with sports already being expensive generally, we do know that most sports in the country are also quite underfunded and really receive enough from the Sports Commission. How is paracycling dealing with this particular issue?
Currently, we have thought of taking some initiative and doing some fundraising, just to have something from our own. The whole country and the whole world is going through the economic crisis with everything going on, so it's quite understandable that there is not a lot of sponsors lining up for sports at this point. We are very glad to have these cycles that we have now sponsored, and we can start now with them to at least create awareness and get more people involved. And at the same time, we can use this as starting our own event, so we can generate some income just to maintain the cycles we have for now. And then at a later stage, look at what sponsors we can get to get our athletes up and going. Yeah.
And let's dive a bit deeply into that, man. How are you guys improving the interest in paracycling, and also are there perhaps any initiatives to promote paracycling in schools, perhaps for some of those that do want to take place or take part?
Yes. Like the cycles that we had now, we are currently doing awareness ride on the 4th, which is just through the Independence Avenue up to Auspenplatz, where we will be showcasing the bikes to the whole public, as we want to include everyone into this initiative. That's why we call it Inclusive Cycling, to have everyone involved. We are planning to also go to the north, to Oshakati, where we will have the same event again, showcase the bikes. And after that, we will look at different schools with children with disability, and also look at other events where we can incorporate our cycles, so that we can get them exposed, so that the public can be informed about them.
Speaking about the events, have there been any this year, and what other key events can we expect just in terms of paracycling for the year?
Okay, so we've had now the first one, which was a workshop on Saturday that was just passed. Was a good turnout. We had a lot of people participate, trying out the cycles, and we've had some good feedback on that too. took some contact details of those people so that we can have them join in our other events. Then we have the awareness ride on Saturday, and looking forward, we also have on Friday we are joining the ride to work, which is starting at I think 7:30 in the morning at Marua Spa, and also with a route going back to Marua again. This is also for awareness raising, so Paracycle will be joining into those different events. We will be latching on to the whole cycle community and trying to join in all the events that are currently taking place, and later on start to establish our own and have everyone join that in as well.
Yeah, and then something I'm particularly interested in is as we speak now, essentially the entire world has become used to living with this invisible enemy that is COVID-19, right? But it does impact certain certain it does impact the way things flow in many businesses, in many sports. So how are you planning to sort of live with this inconvenience that is COVID-19?
This is why cycling is actually such a good sport. Not only does it give you that exercise to make yourself healthy, and also give you much better lung capacity, as COVID-19 is known to affect the lungs. Cycling is also an individual sport. You don't need to be in a crowd to cycle. You can cycle on your own. When you are cycling, you are not close to each other. You are having a fair distance from one another because you're on cycles, which actually makes this a good sport in these times of COVID.
And then, Mitch, just before we leave you, is there anything that you think the listeners and the viewers out there should know about inclusive cycling, just about paracycling generally?
Yeah, these cycles that have come now, not only do we have for paraplegic, quadriplegic athletes that can join this cycling initiative, but also we have tandem bikes now for the visually impaired or blind, whereby there will be someone on one bike, like a pilot, and then the other person at the back. So it's two people on one bike, tandem bike. So this is all very new. And the turnout we had on Saturday shows that there is much interest in this. Once people have tried it out, it's something they want to do continuously. And there is much more. We have bikes for children with cerebral palsy, adults with spina bifida. We have different cycles, adaptive cycles, and we can adapt them to the needs. So we would like everyone to just come join us on Saturday also to come and see what we have available and how we can adapt our cycles to fit anyone's needs. Yeah.
All right, Mitch. Thank you so much for making time for us this morning, man.